On this episode of Living the Dream, Jimmy and Luiza trolled for some Costa Rican sailfish.
Oh, yeah, baby! Woo! Sailfish on!
And it's dinner and a show all day long.
He's coming up again! Stay on that fish, baby! Woo! There he is! Woo-hoo! We're tight again! Woo! He came up and ate that thing right off the surface! There it is! There it is! Oh! Nice! That's what we're out here for, guys!
This is Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson.
No other reason than that when you're fishing for a sailfish. It's all about the jumps.
Presented by Salt Life. Live salty.
Good fish. That's what she was fighting all that time. Man, what a fish. Wow. Doesn't get any better than Baja. Yeah, boy. That's a kingfish right there. Woo!
In part one of their Costa Rican fishing tour, Jimmy and Luiza stuck to shore in search of monster roosterfish. Day one on the water was slow, but after a few hours of determined trolling, Jimmy landed a hefty rooster.
Fish on! Oh, feels like a pretty good one, Cap. He's running. Oh, he's going forward, Cap. He's going forward. It's a good fish. It's a real good fish. Woo! Now that's a rooster fish, guys. Homegrown in Costa Rica.
With that trophy on the board, the crew felt good about their odds in catching more just like it. But it wasn't until well into their second day on the water that Luiza hooked the right one.
Woo! Fish on! It's a big fish, guys. It's a huge fish.
Gosh, that's a big one, huh?
It is a big one, Jimmy. Oh my gosh. Watch out, watch out.
Keep it tight.
Luiza's personal record and the biggest of the trip, this beastly rooster was decidedly worth the wait.
All right! Woo!
Oh my
It's
God.
a beast, Luiza. Get him under control. Want to support him like this so he don't hurt himself. He wants to go crazy, but I don't want him to.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is my biggest rooster fish ever.
It's a monster, huh?
Costa Rica.
Woo! Crocodile Bay Resort knows how to grow them, don't they?
Sure.
Wow!
Back on Crocodile Bay, Jimmy and Luiza start day 3 with a walk down Crocodile Bay Resort's infamous dock to meet their captain. Instead of sticking to the coast, they head offshore in search of sailfish. As they near their rig, anticipation is high, but they've got bigger fish to fry. Sailfish fight vigorously when hooked, and they've been clocked at speeds of 68 miles per hour. It's a challenge Jimmy and Luiza have never been able to resist.
The sailfish in Costa Rica are definitely bigger than the sailfish that I'd be catching in Florida because it's kind of like a different species. It's just a bigger fish. They're going to average over 100 pounds. The sailfish in Florida are probably averaging 50 or 60 pounds. They're not real big. You're getting them about twice the size over here in Costa Rica, which does make a big difference. It puts you in for a bigger fight, bigger tackle, bigger lures. A lot of things are going to have to be changed from the way that you would fish for them in Florida to get that fish landed.
The lines are set, and within moments the port side is hit, and the drag starts to scream.
Oh, yeah, baby! Woo! Sailfish on! Woo! He came up and ate that thing right off the surface. I barely had a chance to feed it to him. I didn't put it back there for about 3 seconds, but he was hot on it. Man! That's what I'm talking about. There we go. Oh, and he is dumping this spool. It's a good one. He didn't give us much heads up. He came in hot and heavy, and he tore that C&H lure up. Wow, he's about a mile out there. I see his bill on the surface. He is quite a ways out there. Woo! There we go.
Anglers after sailfish are always in it for the fight, but above all else, they're in it for the leaps.
It's coming up, coming up. Wow, yes, nice, nice. He's coming up again. Stay on that fish, baby. Woo, there he is. Woo, he's coming up again. Nice! That's what we're out here for, guys. No other reason than that when you're fishing for a sailfish. It's all about the jumps.
This incredible display is both the reason that sailfish are sought and the reason they're so hard to land. With moves like these, it's easy to imagine why sailfish are notorious for spitting the hook. We'll be back for more Living the Dream right after the break. Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson is made possible by Salt Life. Live salty. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler. Sea Deck. Your boat deserves Sea Deck. ACR Electronics, the science of survival. And by American Fishing Wire. For Jimmy and Luiza, it's day 3 of fishing at the Crocodile Bay Resort in Costa Rica. They boarded early and headed offshore in search of the sailfish. Sailfish can grow to over 200 pounds, so the crew rigged some C&H lures with high seas leader, something sure to hold against that kind of power. The stern was set, and within minutes, Jimmy hooked into a sailfish looking for a fight.
Oh, yeah, baby! Woo! Sailfish on! Wow, yes, nice! Nice! He's coming up again. Stay on that fish, baby! Woo! There he is! Nice! That's what we're out here for, guys! I got this on an Ocean Max 11 jigging reel and a Platinum Series jigging rod. Nice lightweight setup. I use it for bottom fishing for grouper, use it for jigging, for grouper and snapper, amberjack, things like that. And of course we're using them here in Costa Rica for big Pacific sailfish. Now these grow a little bigger than the Atlantic version that we're used to. The Pacific sailfish get up to over 220 pounds, huge. In the Atlantic, I think the record's like 130, 140 pounds, not real big. Here he comes, there it is. It's pretty cool when you see that fish getting closer to the boat and you see his fin sticking out of the water and the tip of his tail riding through the water. It's like your adrenaline just starts pumping more and more when you know it's almost time to land that fish.
Now that the sailfish seem to drift, Jimmy hands his reel over to the first mate and follows his line to land it. But sailfish fight to the very end, so Jimmy decides on a short photo op and a quick release, confident that there'll be another just like it. Their captain holds the drift, and Jimmy's got his eye on the lines when he spots something unexpected.
So we're out here trolling for sailfish, and there's a little pod of pilot whales right here beside the boat coming up. I mean, look at the size of these things. You don't see that every day.
Among the largest of oceanic dolphins, pilot whales are exceeded in size only by the killer whale.
It's pretty cool. You don't see this kind of stuff every day. Saw a whale shark a couple days ago out here that came right up to the boat, and now all these guys all around us. That's a little one. There's a huge one out of the back the other part of the crew's looking at.
This is what Costa Rica is all about, witnessing the extraordinary, while just behind you the lures are set, looking for a fight with another sailfish. Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson is made possible by C&H Lures. Be a winner with C&H Lures. Plantation on Crystal River, the place to stay and play along Florida's nature coast. Cayman Islands Angling Club. Come experience sport fishing in paradise. And by Salt Life. Live salty. At the Crocodile Bay Resort, they offer a wild variety of eco-tours and excursions. On this visit, Jimmy and Luiza choose to ride deep into Costa Rica's jungle.
One of the coolest parts about the jungle tour is the ride out. At some points you go through rivers, you go over bridges. It's really cool just taking your vehicle and driving through streams that are cutting through the road and everything else, because that's just not the kind of stuff that I see at home when I'm here. And sometimes we would just stop on the side of the road and check out the monkeys because they would be all over the place just right there on the side of the road while we were heading out to the jungle.
So you were saying these are like one of the smartest monkeys in the world?
Yeah, no, this is called a black-handed spider monkeys. They actually have one of the most complex ways of communication. They do body position, they do faces, and they do actually vocalizations. So they're really, really interesting, and they live in communities.
Yeah.
So the community could be 3 or up to 4 acres, for example, and then they are living in subgroups. 3, 4 here, another 4 there, another 5 there. So it's like a community of monkeys around, like a little village.
Okay, so do they like fight with the other monkeys? They kind of get their own piece of territory?
No, they're in the same troop. They forage. They look for fruits in the different areas. Okay. So in this species, the males are the nucleus of the troop, because the females, when they get mature up to between 5, 6, or 7 years old, they left the troop. They will leave the troop. So they're always the only one that stay always as together are the males. Yeah, and then the females that leave when they're mature. That's a way too.
I would have it the other way. I'd be like one male and all the females, not a bunch of dudes.
Sometimes you see like sometimes you see like 5, 6 males, 7 males just moving or traveling together. It's really funny.
It's pretty cool.
So we got back in the truck and kept going down the road to get closer and closer to the rainforest. They have 4 different species of monkeys in Costa Rica. They have the squirrel monkey, the spider monkey, the howler monkey, and the white-faced monkey. Last year when we were here, we saw all 4 monkeys in one spot. So that's one of the cool things about the Osa Peninsula, is that there's so much wildlife there. Some days you may only see a couple of the species, some days you may see all 4 of them, and some days you may see all 4 of them in the exact same spot. When we got to the end of that long country road, there was like a little stream, and it was kind of like a dead-end area where a tree had fallen down. So Luiza and I got out of the truck and started walking across that little stream to explore and see what was in the area there. We could hear all the birds and the monkeys and all the wildlife in the area. There was just so much stuff happening. And I mean, just to see it and feel it and just smell the fresh air and the flowers and the trees, it's a beautiful and unexplainable experience unless you're there, because you have to feel it and taste it and see it for yourself, because there's just so much going on. There's so much to hear. All of your senses are involved with what's going on right there in the rainforest. On this trip, we did see quite a few howler monkeys. We seemed to run into howler monkeys just about everywhere we went. After finishing up some lunch at the end of the road there and seeing some pretty cool wildlife, we packed back into the truck and just went a mile or so down the road to where the beach was, and Dennis got us out at the beach and let us explore a little bit there just to see what was happening. But But after taking a look at the water, we turned around and we saw a little trail that kind of headed up to a cutout area in the woods. It looked like it was pretty heavily traveled, so we walked up there to see what we could run into. Luiza, look at that crab right there.
Oh my God.
Look at the colors on that thing.
It's like purple and orange.
Just a minute or two into walking down that trail, we spotted a really cool looking crab.
It may not be the smartest thing to do with one of these.
That was a really cool looking crab, and I'm not sure if I ever seen one like that before. And it's called a Halloween crab. It had some really cool colors on it and some pretty good sized pinchers too. So you want to watch yourself if you're going to try to grab them like I did.
Check out the colors on that crab. Bright reds and purple. Unbelievable. Such a neat little crab. Got big old pinchers on him too. I'm actually not holding him very hard. I'm just barely keeping my fingers on there because I don't want him to drop his claws. Just making sure he can't pinch me and staying relaxed. It's a really cool crab. I'm gonna go ahead and let him go. Look at that color, wow.
I mean, it's a Halloween crab.
A Halloween crab. We saw so many cool things on the jungle trip, from the birds to the monkeys to the crabs and the lizards and frogs and everything else that's out there, and just the scenery in general. The jungle excursion, it is well worth it. I would highly recommend taking one of those jungle excursions with Dennis or Diego or one of the other guys there that they have on site that could take you out on one of those trips, because they really know their stuff and you're gonna see a lot of really cool things while you're out there.
We'll be back for more Living the Dream right after the break. "50 miles offshore from Crocodile Bay Resort in Costa Rica, Captain Jimmy has reset the drift to feed new line for one last shot at landing a second sailfish. The birds surrounding the boat act as a signal for baitfish, and with tuna jumping within sight, the crew remains optimistic.
All right, and another thing you guys want to keep in mind while we're out here searching for sailfish and stuff, we got our lines in the right place, but you want to be safe when you're on the water because you never know what can happen. We're out here 50 miles offshore, and of course my boat at home, I have an E-perb on it, but you'll notice this thing here, I always get questions on social media and stuff about it. This is a personal locator beacon. Very important to have on you at all times, because if you're out here and you get in an emergency situation, your boat goes down, you get separated from it, all you have to do is just flip this antenna out, point it towards the sky. If you hold this button down for 1 second, it's going to send a signal to the U.S. Coast Guard. They're going to contact the local authorities no matter where you are in the world. We're out here in Costa Rica. They'll contact them. They'll let them know right where I'm at, that I'm in a distressful situation, and it takes the search out of search and rescue because they know right where to go to find me. And it's very important to have something like this because it is the difference between life and death. It saves thousands of people every year. I highly recommend getting one of these, whether you're on a boat or not. You can be out in the middle of the desert, you can be in the woods, you can get seriously injured and not be able to get a hold of anybody and be outside of cell phone coverage. But if you have this on you, they will know right where you're at and that you're in a serious situation and they need to get there right away. So I would definitely recommend looking up ACR Electronics, checking out their E-perbs and their personal locator beacons, and it'll help you get home safely if you do get in a serious situation. Woo-hoo! And we're tight. We're tight again. Number 2. There he is on the surface. There he is. There he is. There it is. There it is. Oh, yeah. Woo! Sailfish are just a fun fish to catch. You go in there with the expectation of seeing that fish jump all over the place, seeing it come up and smack your bait and eat your lure right in front of you. It's just a rush when those things hit. "45 minutes of trolling with not much just to find out the area that they're in. We found a nice current line here, and it seems like they're running down the current line. There must be some nice bait in it or cleaner water or something, but they're hanging out in it, that's for sure. Got them right here behind the boat. See that? Right there on the surface. Got him real close. I'm just gonna try to wear him down just a little more before I try to land him, because I don't want him to beat himself up and shake his head and hit himself on the side of the boat. Sometimes it doesn't hurt just to let the fish sit in the water for an extra minute or so just to wear himself down. Look at this. I mean, he's just lifting his bill out of the water. Nice. Sailfish are very strong fish. Don't be fooled by them either. They're a pretty fish and they're jumping all over the place, but they do have a lot of power in that big forked tail. All right, guys, we're gonna land this fish. Hopefully he's ready. Sailfish just go crazy when you first go to land them and you put your hands on them and they're shaking you all over the place and splashing and just not wanting to be held. Woo! And the rodeo begins. Yeah, boy. See if I can hold on for 8 seconds. Ah! There you go. Stay down, baby. I'm gonna let you go. Stay down. There you go. Woo! Wow, pretty one. Beautiful fish. We kept just working that fish through the water to make sure that he would be completely revived before I let him go. He's doing very well. I could have let him go a second ago and he would have still been fine a couple minutes ago. But I just like that extra time with him. So we're gonna go ahead and push him off right now. Woo, and that's what it's all about right there. Fish is gone, swimming off healthy. And we got another sailfish this morning in the boat.
For more fishing and diving action, follow along on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Captain Jimmy Nelson. Living the Dream with Captain Jimmy Nelson was brought to you by Salt Life. Live salty.